Hello, welcome to another video of the Rosie Life. Today I actually wasn't going to record a video, but I realized something that is a big myth, and from my point of view has caused so much confusion for many people, including myself, for a very long time, about this whole reality creation, manifesting idea, community, information, whatever. And so much so that I was on the treadmill and at the gym, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna do the video when I'm done. I had to leave the treadmill because I was just so fired up about this topic. And I ran upstairs, and I'm here recording this now because I could not wait. I just absolutely could not wait to talk about this on a video and share it with all of you. And I encourage you to share this video with any group or community or whoever that you're in, because what I'm about to share with you kind of pisses me off, but it also brings freedom. So it's both. And this is my perspective, my point of view that I'm sharing with all of you, but hopefully it's going to help many of you. In fact, I intend thousands of you upon thousands realize something. Because in this whole manifesting realm, community, information, what is the one thing that you have heard probably for freaking months, weeks, years, depending on, how long you've been reading and watching videos or whatever? What is the one thing that you consistently hear? And that is, you've always been manifesting. You guys have heard that. I know you have. I've said it. You've always been manifesting. This is not new. You don't have to learn how to manifest. You've always been manifesting. Okay, so if that's true, and then the other thing that you absolutely know is that you hear from all creators. I don't care if we're talking about law of attraction, law of assumption, law of one, if we're talking about neuroscience, non-duality teachers. I don't care what the topic is. You will hear this. You've always been manifesting. And the other thing you'll hear is that there's only a source, one source, or a divine mind, infinite intelligence, that it's coming, that it's you, there's only one power, one source. It's existence, it's life itself, whatever you want to call it. Some people get freaked out with calling it a certain name or word. It doesn't matter, because you cannot name it, because it's the nameless. It's all that is potential. There's no perfect word for it. So, but you've heard that it's the one, whatever that word is, okay, the one, and that you've always been manifesting, that it's a natural thing that you do, okay? But then here is what I want to share with you, okay? The realization I want to share with you, because this is going to help you, is going to help many, many people. We've heard about conscious manifesting. Okay, it's important that you remember what I just said. Okay, that everything comes from the one, all right? And that you've always been manifesting, all right? So then we talk about reality creation, manifesting, law of this, law of whatever, okay? All the freaking laws. You hear conscious manifesting. What does that mean? And what is unconscious manifesting? Well, the same damn teachers, including myself, I used to teach like this too. Not anymore, but I used to. I'm throwing myself in, okay? But a lot of the same teachers that teach that you are unlimited, that you can have it all, that you can be, do, have it all, whatever, okay? That there's no rules, no limits, that it's all coming from you, that you are the power, you are the source, you are the I am, all of it, okay? The same teachers, not all, will tell you, and I have a short list that I can fit on 2 fingers of people that I would pause and still watch a video from, and that's it, okay? But that's not what this is about. It's not to bring in teachers or none of that stuff. But you hear about conscious manifesting, and then you hear about unconscious manifesting. What does that mean? The unconscious manifesting is what is taught, is that it's the unconscious manifestations that you were doing before you became aware that you are source, that you are the source of it all. So it's the unconscious manifestations that you can look back on and say, yeah, I see how I did that. And then there's the conscious manifestations of I am purposely deciding and doing this, okay? But here's what I wanted to share with you. If you understand that the conscious and the subconscious or unconscious, whatever, you remember there's only one. And you've always been doing this, okay? There's just the one. There's no separation between the conscious and the subconscious. That has been split apart into 2 topics, and each of those topics carries its own freaking Bible of information. It's like inexhaustive information about subconscious and what to do with it and what it is and how to figure it out and where it is and how to buy it food and buy the right pet clothes for it. It's like it's inexhaustive, the information on the subconscious that has been out there. And then there's inexhaustive information about the conscious mind, splitting it up, making it 2 separate topics. So much so that when you come across any information about reality creation and awareness and infinite intelligence, the power, the source, whatever, the nameless, okay? So much so that if you say something like, I remember manifesting this when I was 20. I remember manifesting this when I was 15 years old. I remember manifesting this. Yeah, but, and I've heard teachers do this. Yeah, but that doesn't count because you did not do it consciously. So whatever you've manifested in whatever you think you've manifested in your past, whatever you say, you're saying, yeah, I manifested that before. Yeah, and you'll get cut off saying, yeah, but that's not the same. I've heard it. I've heard teachers talk about this, like, oh, yeah, but that teacher has not consciously manifested things, or that client has not consciously manifested things, or so in other words, it only counts and it only matters if you've consciously manifested something, and pretty much saying anything that you unconsciously manifested before you knew this information, it doesn't count because it was happening automatically and you didn't actually make it happen. You didn't choose it. So anybody can do that. Yeah. And you guys, I used to think this too. So much so that I was just, so what does that do? So why am I talking about this? Because when you're focused on what I did consciously, what I did unconsciously, what actually happened, I remember this happening, I did that, but oh yeah, that's nice, but you're not doing it consciously. what I notice is that this created division. This created division, more separation, that only what you do from when you pick up a Neville book, or you picked up a Law of One book, or you picked up the Kabbalah, or you picked up neuroscience, or you picked up a metaphysics book, only from that point on does it count that you've manifested. Anything else before, you didn't know what you were doing, so it just doesn't count. But don't forget, those are the same teachers telling you that you've always been manifesting, and that the whole point of becoming aware of who you are is becoming aware that you've always been manifesting, that it's the most natural thing that you can do, that is who you are, it's what you're doing in every moment. But yet those same people are saying what you've manifested doesn't count, only what you do on purpose from here forward. That makes no sense whatsoever. Because how can I sit here and tell you that what you have manifested before doesn't count because you weren't aware you were doing it? Only what you are aware of doing counts as a manifestation. But yet at the same breath tell you that the whole point of all of this is to become aware that you've always been doing this, that you've always had it all, that it's always been natural, that it's always been easy, that that's the whole point. How can I sit here and say that? Dividing it up. Again, the conscious manifesting is you're aware that you're doing it. That's all. That's it. And the unconscious manifesting is you're not aware that you're doing it. Now, just because you're not aware of all those things I know you guys can come up with a frickin' whole like a whole frickin' book of things that I know that you guys have manifested. Good, bad, or indifferent, does not matter. It does not matter because you're the only one saying it's good, bad, or indifferent. So unconscious manifesting is you're not aware of it. Conscious manifesting is you are aware of it. So the whole point that all content, if creators about reality creation are saying, you're just remembering who you are. You're remembering who you are. You're remembering that you are awareness. You're being aware that you've always done it. You're being aware that it's all coming from you. That's the only difference. But the whole how you did it never changed, never needed to change, never needed to be different. There's no rules, there's nothing. But because of this, you're aware you're doing it and you're aware you're not doing it, was created this big ass rule book that you have to do it a certain way, that you can't do this, that you must feel this, that you must align to that you must vibe with this, that you must eat these crackers and melt this candle and go stand on your head and be calm and not be this and not be that, when none of that shit existed before. Remember, the only thing that you are realizing is that you're aware that you've always done it. That's it. Oh, wow. Yeah, I've always done it. Now I'm aware that I've always done it. And all of a sudden, there's rules on how to do it. All of a sudden, there's rules on how to do it when you've always done it. And everything that you've done, if manifested before, that doesn't count. Making a lot of people feel like they don't know how to manifest, that they've never manifested anything, that they can't manifest. Yeah, but I did that when I was unconscious. Listen to the dialogue behind people saying, yeah, I've never manifested, I've never consciously manifested it. Remember, how can you say you have not consciously manifested? When conscious to subconscious was divided, and it was never supposed to be divided, The conscious subconscious is one. So you can't say that you consciously or unconsciously did it, because it's the same thing. The only people that are separating those words is you, whoever you are. There's no separation between conscious and unconscious. There's no such thing. That's a separation that was created, but there was never any separation. This whole idea of unconscious and conscious was made up. It's a made up story. There is no such thing as conscious and subconscious. There's one. So to say that you did not consciously manifest things, yes, you did. Hell yeah, you did. That's all you've ever been doing. And that's what you're being aware of. Because I was thinking about like so many things, right? Like I wrote down, just some examples. Like I have multiple SPs, and I'm talking, these are my personal stories, not my client stories. I have multiple SP stories where it looked horrible. It was not happening. No way. Absolutely not happening. No, it was like crickets, not a chance. Only hate and venom coming out of their mouth for it to completely turn around. Why? Because I was like thinking, I was on the treadmill thinking about these different stories too. And like, especially like one SP, it's like, it was like nothing. And I remember just like finally accepting that it was over. And as soon as I accepted it was over, he came back. Why? Because I stopped trying to get him to come back. I stopped trying to pray to God, to something outside of me, for him to come back. I accepted it, but that wasn't my desire. But it doesn't matter, because we've always been manifesting. Same thing. I wanted to have a baby so bad. It wasn't happening. It felt like years of trying. I went through all the infertility specialists. I did shot myself with the hormones. I did all of that stuff. And guess what? Nothing did not happen. I tried, I cried, I begged God. I was on my knees daily begging God for a baby. I felt God was not listening. The medicine was not working. Nothing was working. And I still remember the night I went to bed and I wrote in my journal and I said, I give up. I give up. I guess I'm not meant to have a mom, but I know I remember this, but I know that I am meant for greatness. 2 weeks later, I was pregnant. What happened? What happened? When I wanted a house, I remember I've owned several homes, but this is a house. This was the first time that I looked at a house and it was out of my comfort zone. I remember with my ex-husband and I, we looked at houses and we didn't like them because they were in our budget. And I didn't want to shop within my budget. Nothing has changed, people that never shop. I don't have budgets anymore. Okay. I remember looking at the house and I knew it was out of our budget, our loan range, but I wanted to see it anyway. And I had the realtor show us that house. I walked in there and they walked out and I was the last one in the house, just standing in the middle of the living room. And I said to myself, I would like to have this house. I didn't say, I don't know how it's gonna happen, I don't know what. I just stood there and said, I would like to have this house. We submitted an offer, it got rejected. 2 months later, I was on vacation with my family and we get a call from the realtor saying the owner has accepted your offer. I can keep going. The same thing with, I've started multiple businesses now, 2 private practices in 2 different states. I started the YouTube channel. It had me, I was screaming down the hallway. You guys know Bo, my son, screaming down the hallway. I was the first subscriber. I created an extra email address so I can subscribe to my own channel. And then I yelled down the hallway, you better subscribe to Bo, my son. You better subscribe to my channel. And he's like, fine. Ugh. And he subscribed. I had 2 subscribers and I was so happy. So happy. And it stayed, and it grew slow. And then until one day I said to myself, you know what? I want my channel to blow up. And I just proceeded. I was like, I don't know how, because I was giving it my all. I was doing thumbnails the best I could. I was creating content the best I could. I was like, I remember feeling there's literally, I don't know what else I could do. I really don't know what else I could do. I'm being myself. I'm doing it. I kept creating the content. I just kept creating it. And I remember it was 2 days before the 4th of July. And I said that it's like, I would like my channel to blow up. I would like something like that. I don't know if my channel or this video, I don't remember what I said, something about blowing up. And it was 2 days before 4th of July. And on the 4th of July, do you see the joke here, the funniness? 4th of July, my channel, a video started blowing up. And it wouldn't stop. And it kept stopping. It's like in that same month, I remember saying, I want this debt paid off. I remember I had a big debt and I was like, I want this paid off. And it was paid off that same month in full. When just a month ago, I was just making payments thinking it's never gonna get paid off. I thought, oh, whatever, I'm just gonna send the payment in. So some of those that I said to you, you can call conscious manifesting, because I decided and I'm aware. And a lot of you call yourself July babies, by the way. I know there's a bunch of you, and you guys, if you don't know now, you know the story of why they call themselves as July babies, 4th of July babies, because that's what I'm referring to. And that's when a lot of you subscribe to the channel. And for all of you who are new, welcome. So some of those things that I talked about would be considered conscious manifesting, and some of those things would be considered unconscious manifesting. So you want to tell me that the things that, you know, some person, I'm going to be nice, said it's unconscious and it doesn't count. So you want to tell me that some of those things that are so precious to me don't count. That they don't count. They're not manifestations. They are, but they don't count. It's not the same. I thought it was one conscious, not 2. I thought it was, this whole point was that we've always been manifesting, and now we're aware that we are. That's the only thing. We're aware and not aware. But when we become aware, all of a sudden this book got thrown out all over the place with rules of what you should do and not do, what you have to do and not do, leaving me feeling like freaking crazy. Like, if it's natural, why all of a sudden? Why? Because we have a death grip on it. Because we think that we have to have a death grip on it. We think that we have to focus, align, feel high vibe, have a good self-concept, have high self-esteem, whatever the fuck. The list is eternal. I've talked about a lot of those things because I bought into that freaking Kool-Aid myself. But turns out, like the video that I made, and I freaking stand 10 toes on it, still, if you haven't watched it, this is all a game. How to play the game of I don't have it. That's all it is. You have it all. You've always had it all. And you will always have it all. That's all we're being aware of. We're being aware that nothing's wrong, that we have it all, and that there's literally nothing to do. All this conscious manifesting stuff is what makes a lot of people feel like there's something still to do. There's something wrong with you, that you're broken, when you never were. And you never had to do anything. We never had to do anything, ever. Why would we have to do anything if it's already ours? Why do I have to raise my vibration? Why do I have to align to something if it's already ours? The realization that you already are all things is what moved your attention from unconscious manifesting to conscious. If you Google the word conscious, is to be awake, aware. You're just aware that you're doing it. But just because you're aware doesn't mean that what you're doing or you've been doing is different and changes. The aware that you're doing it allows you to see all that you are, that you're not limited to what you thought you were. You're not limited to what you thought you had. That's it. You're aware that you're unlimited and you have access to anything and everything you desire. Becoming aware of that didn't come with an instruction book of you need a better self-concept. You need to change your thoughts. You need to change your vibration. You need to change this. You need to do that. You need to do all these things. Where did that come in? That was all made up. The awareness that you are unlimited was the whole point. It was never meant to say you got to do something different now. It was to awaken you to you are all that is. And then it turned into how to get what you want, how to manifest, how to change your self-concept, how to. And I notice this because my clients, when they ask me questions, how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I stop feeling this? You don't. You weren't doing it before. You don't have to do anything different. You were just being yourself and everything is perfect. But now you see that you are an unlimited being and you don't have to earn it. You're just privy. You walked yourself into a warehouse of all that you are, and you thought you didn't even have a pot to piss in, and now you just got walked into the warehouse of you are all of this. This is all yours. And instead of receiving it, it's become a how do I get it? How do I do it? How do I have it? How do I become rich? How do I become healthy? How do I get this person? How do I get this? How do I get this? Because of this, you were always doing it, you always had it all, and you're realizing what you've always been doing it became a thing that never was ever meant to be. It's a story. Now, you can agree to it, nothing wrong with it, because even creators that talk about it, coaches, teachers, books, all of it, whatever they're teaching is perfect. But that's what they've come up with. That's where they stand. That's where they speak their truth. But notice I said their truth. You choose what your truth is. Stop letting others tell you how to be the truth of your own world. You've always done it. You've always had it. And you'll always be it, no matter what.